A buffer is a fascinating substance that has both a weak acid and its conjugate base, or a weak base and its conjugate acid. Now, strong acids and strong bases don't exist with each other at all, all right? They'll fight each other like constantly, and they'll destroy each other if they're ever around. But a weak acid and a weak base, they're like more mellow, and they will hang out with their conjugates in the same solution in general, which is pretty crazy. And when you create one of these buffers with a weak acid and its conjugate base, or weak base conjugate acid, these buffers will coexist and they resist changes to the pH of the solution. So if you add a strong acid, the weak base steps in to kick it out. And if you add a strong base, the weak acid steps in to kick it out. And they're amazing and they're super helpful. Our bodies are full of buffers. They keep our bodies safe and healthy and stuff like that, which is totally crazy. So up there in the picture, we have a 100 milliliter sample of dilute HCl, and we adjusted it to a pH of 5. So pH of 5 isn't super acidic, but it's hardly basic too. And so what we did there on the right there is you added a milliliter of either strong acid or strong base. And look what happens, man. The pH just went crazy. All right, you add a milliliter of the strong acid, the pH went down to 2. You add a milliliter of the strong base, and the pH went up to 12.0. So this is an example of a non-buffered solution, and just a milliliter will make the pH changes go crazy. Now here's an example, same kind of problem. We have 100 milliliters, so same volume, but this is an acetate buffer. This means that we have acetic acid and acetate, and it's been adjusted to a pH of 5. Now on the right, we have the same kind of conditions. We're adding a milliliter of strong acid or strong base to the same stuff, but look what happens. What made the pH go from 5 to 2 above went from 5 to 4.98 when we added the strong acid to the buffer. And what made the solution in the top go from a pH of 5 to pH of 12 upon adding sodium hydroxide, the pH of the buffered solution, 5.00 to 5.02. So buffers are really good about buffering your system. They're really good about resisting changes to pH. And if you have a living system, that can be super important. You don't want huge changes to your blood and your kidneys, stuff like that. So buffers are pretty important for our living bodies. Sodium acetate is added to an acetic acid solution. And the question is, what will be the pH of the solution? Will it go up? Will it go down? Will it stay the same, equal to 7, or do you need more information? Now, this is the kind of question that's going to be important to us. If you think about this, you are adding sodium acetate to something. We don't care about the acetic acid solution. We don't care what it's being added to. We want to know what we're adding. And we're adding sodium acetate. Now, if acetic acid is an acid, that means that sodium acetate is going to be a base. It's the conjugate base. We are adding a base, and bases will make your pH increase, all right? So think about how the pH is affected by what you're adding. You're adding a base, pH is going to go up. Adding an acid, pH is going to go down. If you look at the pictures in the upper right-hand corner, we added an acid, pH went down, 2.0. We added the base on the right, pH went up, 12.00. And even to the buffer solution, the pH changed a little bit too. Bases made it go up, acids made it go down. And it might be 0.000001 pH units, but it will go up or down because acids make pH goes down, bases make pH go up. Let's consider a buffer with some kind of random acid HA and the conjugate base A-. And let's say we're going to think about what happens if you have a strong base that's being attacked here. Now, strong bases are going to go after the weak acids, HA. So hydroxide will react with HA to make A- and water. And why this is important is that as you're adding a base to a weak acid, the weak acid steps up and neutralizes the hydroxide, but in the process, you're making conjugate base. Remember, if HA is the acid, then A- is the base. So adding hydroxide makes more of the weak base. And we'll come back to this here in a little bit. Now, if you add a strong acid, which is a source of H3O plus to your buffer, the weak base, A minus, steps up and it neutralizes it. However, in the process, you end up making more weak acid. So notice here that the strong base ended up making more weak base, and the strong acid ended up making more weak acid. So there is an effect on pH, although it's not quite what the strong acid and the strong base probably intended. So this is just kind of showing graphically here what's happening. In the upper part here, we're adding hydronium, a strong acid, and notice how the strong acid went up and the weak base went down. So bases and acids react, but in the process, more weak acid was made. And on the right-hand side, we've got the strong base hydroxide. The bases lowered the amount of acid, but they raised the amount of the conjugate base. And this is what happens with a buffer. You will see a pH change, but it's much more modulated thanks to the effect that these are weak acids and weak bases. So it's a fascinating process how this works, and it's incredible. And again, buffers are really important for life and a whole bunch of different things, which is really cool. If you're making a buffer, you must have a weak acid and its conjugate base, or a weak base and its conjugate acid. No strong acids and strong bases, they're not happy with their conjugates, but the weak acids and weak bases certainly are. Now, HOAC is going to be an abbreviation for acetic acid we'll use. Just kind of realize that's something we'll talking about. OAC minus then would be the acetate ion. So you could have acetic acid and acetate, you could have dihydrogen phosphate and hydrogen phosphate, but you could also have a weak base and its conjugate acid, so ammonia and ammonium, and nitrite, NO2 minus, with nitrous acid, HNO2. All of these are examples. Now, we're going to mostly look at weak acids with conjugate base, but everything we talked about, you can also apply weak base and conjugate acid theory to it, but we'll focus mostly on a weak acid with a conjugate base. I do recommend that you check out this handout. It's called the Buffers and Henderson-Hasselbalch Guide. We're going to see how Henderson-Hasselbalch really helps with buffer calculations, and this handout also talks about what a buffer is, stuff like that. So which of these would be an ideal buffer solution? And again, a buffer needs to have a weak acid in its conjugate base or a weak base in its conjugate acid, and certainly no strong acids and strong bases. And I'm hoping that you're seeing that there's lots of strong acids and strong bases in there. For example, HNO3. So that's not going to work. HNO3 is a hunter killer. It won't hang out with its conjugate. Nitrate is a conjugate, but it's not going to work. No strong acids, no strong bases. HCl and KOH are strong, so they're both out. That's not going to work. Let's skip to D real fast. D has ammonia, which is a weak base. And this crazy thing right here is what's called protonated methylamine. You don't need to worry about that. That is actually a weak acid. But the punchline here, NH3 has to be related by plus or minus an H plus to have a conjugate. And that thing is certainly not the conjugate. The conjugate of NH3 would be NH4 plus, the ammonium ion, all right? And the conjugate of this crazy thing, which you don't need to worry about, would be CH3NH2. Either way, these are not conjugates of each other. That's not going to happen. However, this last one on C, that's acetic acid. And if you take the Na plus off, CH3CO2 minus, that's acetate. Acetate and acetic acid are certainly conjugates. That's going to be a great combination. So again, weak acids with conjugate bases, or weak bases conjugate acids, and no strong acids, no strong bases. Must be conjugates. So let's say you want to find the pH of a buffer that has an acetic acid concentration 0.700 moles per liter and an acetate concentration 0.600 moles per liter. All right, no problem. What we would do is set up a Ka expression. The acid plus water makes the conjugate base plus hydronium. And the Ka for this value, 1.8 times 10 to the minus 5, which again you can look up in a table. So what you would do is set up an ice table. Initially, you have 0.700 moles per liter acetic acid, which we've done. But this reaction, we're also going to have 0.600 molar acetate. So they can coexist as long as they're conjugates of each other and they're weak, they can get along. But we don't have any hydronium, and hydronium must be greater than 0 at equilibrium. So that's going to go up, and that's going to make the base go up to plus X, and the acetic acid here will go down by minus X. So here are the equilibrium concentrations. We can let all of those equal Ka. Ka would be 1.8 times 10 to the minus 5. That's going to equal hydronium, and what initially is 0.6 plus X, and on the bottom you'd have 0.7 minus X. However, X is going to be really small. If you have just almost equal amounts of acetate and acetic acid, then the X value here is going to be pretty small. So instead of dealing with 0.6 plus X and 0.7 minus X, you are justified in pulling both of those. So you end up with just Ka equals hydronium times the base 0.6 divided by the acid 0.7. So if you solve for hydronium, then hydronium equals Ka times the concentration of the acid divided by the concentration of the base, hydronium 2.1 times 10 to the minus 5, pH minus log of that number, 4.68. So the pH of this buffer system, 4.68. Cool. If you look at that expression carefully, the hydronium, H3O plus, equals the concentration of the acid divided by the concentration of the base times Ka. Remember, hydronium is the key to pH, and pH is really important. So if you can solve for an expression for hydronium, it's easier to find pH, which makes the chemist happy. Well, what scientists did is they rewrote this a little bit, and they let hydronium equals the acid over the conjugate base times Ka. And that's kind of interesting. Now, in terms of Kb, you can do it too. You'd have hydroxide equals base over conjugate acid times Kb, and that's fine. We're not going to talk about that version a lot, but it does work really well. But what I do want you to see is that the things that affect hydronium, say, is going to be twofold. It's going to be the ratio of the acid to the base and Ka. Now for hydroxide, it would be the ratio of the base to the acid times Kb. So you can affect the amount of hydronium, say, by changing the acid-base ratio, and you can also affect the amount of hydronium by changing the acid itself and its Ka value. But it's this ratio of two parts which is going to be really interesting, and the ratio of acid to base is going to lead to some really cool realizations for how buffers can be handled.